are live.
Happy Friday, guys. Let's talk some hockey. We've got multiple games on the board in the NHL. We've got picks, predictions, props, totals, sides, all kinds of action for you here on a Friday. Do not forget about the same game parlay. And yes, today it actually will be a same game parlay. So we'll try and cash a ticket. And guess what? We've got my same game parlay on the early game. So if you guys are looking for some early action, well, 2 p.m. Eastern, we have a game in Europe featuring the Penguins and the Predators. And of course, everyone's favorite segment to end the week, Carmine's 6 and 60. So, hey, Carm, you know what? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is always the busier slates. But as I keep saying, sometimes the Friday, sometimes the Wednesday, sometimes the Monday, you can find some profit on these Friday slates. And it's not a bad board here today. 4 games on tap, but only 3 night games is one of them going on in Europe this afternoon. How's it going, Carm?
It's going well. I'm a little exhausted, Andrew. Yesterday, let me give my face some color. Hold on. There we go. I'm a little exhausted because I was the designated driver yesterday, driving from Toronto down, or north of Toronto down to BMO Field to watch the Canada versus Ecuador game. I'm telling you, logistically, it was a nightmare at the game, Andrew, only because they're renovating the stadium in order to make it where there's at least 40,000 seats available. It was sold out last night, absolutely sold out. And I thought it was going to be Canadian red. It was 65% people with Ecuadorian flags draped around them, jerseys, just everything. And let me tell you, there was some Ecuadorian women who are rockets. So I don't know if I can say that on TV, but I'm telling you, my friends were absolutely loving it. I was the designated driver. So I took them there. I took them to the game. I had a great time with them. And if you watched the end of yesterday's show, I said it wouldn't surprise me if this game finished 0-0, and it finished 0-0. That was paying 5-1 plus 500 in that game. If you
Carm, that game wasn't really a good game for the crowd of people that complains about soccer being boring, like your buddy Hal.
No.
That game was not. I'm not saying soccer has to have the 4-3 games by any means, but the 0-0, I can't ever get behind that one. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
The scoring is completely different. If the NFL every TD was 1 point, the games would be 4-3, and you'd be like, "Oh, this is like the most boring game ever." If soccer, every goal was worth 9, and you see like a final score, Canada 63, Ecuador 45, you're like, oh, wow, that must have been a great game. Listen, it's just like basketball. So anyways, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And if you made money on it yesterday, then congratulations to you. Just like the people who took the pod yesterday, the Calgary Flames. I got a message from you, all in caps. Empty net goal, 4 seconds left. Calgary wins it 2-0.
You just knew that play was going to need an empty net goal, Carm. You had a feeling if they were going to win that, it was going to be an empty net goal for Calgary.
Yeah, the whole time I'm tracking the game, and it's like it's 1-0, and then I got home and I turned it on to watch the game. It was 1-0 to watch watching the game. I'm like, if Calgary lets in a goal, there's no way they're scoring a couple more. This game is either going to finish 1-0 or 2-0. You could just sense it. They got the empty netter. The pod gets there, and I have another pod, and it'll be in the game we're not going to discuss today, but I'll discuss why in the pod, which I think is better. So all 4 games are covered one way or another. But Andrew, let's kick it off, man. Pittsburgh and Nashville. This game is at 2 p.m. in Stockholm, Sweden, as part of the Global Series. The Pens, Andrew, are like minus 127. They're the favorites here. You know me. And Lowe's kid, if he's in the chat, is going to be like, oh, Carm with his fading of the Penguins. I want to fade them here, but how do you fade Pittsburgh against a Nashville team that's won one of their last like 11 games or 10 games? I can't bring myself to do it, because you know that the Pens are going to, what they bring to a game. Even when they lose, they compete. I just don't get it here. The goalies are already named. It's Shilovs and Juuso Saros. Saros are the goalies in today's game. One guy from Latvia, one guy from Finland. So I'm sure that they'll have some family in the house in Sweden for this one, Andrew. But I gotta go Pittsburgh in this one. 127. it's not going to make my card. I'm not going to bet it, but that's the lean that I have. It's more has to do, Andrew, with the fact that I can't take Nashville. I can't make a case for taking Nashville. I can take a case, hey, maybe they can win a game that's not in North America, and it's a change of venue, but I can't take it. So for me, a process of elimination, if you're not going to bet one team, the only other thing you can do is look to the other team, and it's the Pittsburgh Penguins minus 127. That has to be the worst breakdown of why I'm leaning on a game, Andrew, but that's what it is.
Well, Carm, the gloves are off, man, because I'm taking the dog. I'm taking the dog here. Nashville Predators, 1-8 their last 9 games, and this game opens up as a pick. Well, what's the deal here with that one? Then you see a little bit of money trickle in a little bit here on the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I'm a big believer that sometimes all a team needs to get back on track, to change what's going on with the mojo around their team, is a road trip. And this time it's not an East road trip or a West Coast road trip. It's a European road trip. And you talked about it yourself, Carm. This Pittsburgh Penguins team was playing very, very well for a while. And you forecasted when they were going to go on a little bit of a losing streak. And now I think they've lost, 3 of the last 4 games. They haven't looked nearly the same. And I feel like defensively, they're starting to get exposed a little bit here. He is the box of chocolates. You literally do not know what you're going to get from him. I think that over in Europe, you're going to get a really good start here from UC Saros. The rest benefits him as he plays a ton of games for the Nashville Predators. I do worry this could get into a track meet, but part of me believes that this game could be maybe the lower scoring game, and then they play on Sunday again, and that game could get messy, and that game could be the more action-packed game. So we'll try and be careful with our expectations as far as too many goals, but I think Nashville's the side here. I think that after they went 1-8 their last 9 games, they get a handful of days off, they get the reset, and this is a team that, if you look on paper, is a hell of a lot closer to Pittsburgh than what these two teams have played like this season. And if you look at the odds, like if you look at how these teams have played their last 10 games overall, the stats, the metrics would tell you, okay, yeah, it's definitely a day to look towards the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I think conceptually, big picture, this is a big trip here for the Nashville Predators. We had a comment earlier talking about when Pittsburgh arrived versus when Nashville arrived. I don't see that really being too much of an issue. They both arrived roughly around the same time. I think it was 1 day difference maybe in this one. But I lean towards the Nashville side here, Carm. And I'll tell you, the more I looked at it overnight, the more because I was like, I kind of look at these games where it's kind of like coming back from Christmas break or NHL All-Star break where you see goals if it's been a couple of days off for these teams. They're in Europe. But I'm a true believer that one of these games is going to go under and one of these games is going to go over. And I think that maybe it'll be the Sunday game that goes over. So maybe we see a low-scoring start to this game. UC Saros plays phenomenal. And then on Sunday, we see a jam-packed, higher-scoring game. So that made it a little bit tricky for me with my same-game parlay. And I really wanted to give everybody a same-game parlay to sweat out while they're at work or while they're home on a Friday for the afternoon game. But we'll see. Carm, any thoughts for you total-wise? Like, do you think we're going to see a bang here in this one, or maybe the Sunday game is the one that's more exciting?
I think we're against each other even on the total, Andrew, because, I look at it and Artur Shilovs hasn't had the greatest run over the last little while, obviously with Tristan Jarry injured. That has a lot to do with it. He's sort of taken over the bulk of it, but I look at it and I see he's 1-1-3 his last 5 outings, a decent save percentage, 914, but still they're losing games. I would think I would want to take the over in the first game and not the second game. And the reason why is because if the goalie is Murashov, the goalie they called up from the AHL, he played extremely well despite losing that game in his only start. He's a pretty good goalie. I think he's the goalie, the Pens' future. So you get him in goal on Sunday. I think the Pens play better in front of him. They always want to protect their goalie. I think tonight or this afternoon might be the one in which we see the goals. You look at the Pens and both these teams when they come back from this trip. I think people are going to be like, oh, I got to fade these two teams that are returning from Sweden. Pittsburgh's going to have 4 days off before they play a game, and it's a 3-game homestand for them where they play the Minnesota Wild, they play the Seattle Kraken, and they play the Buffalo Sabres. So you look at it, and that isn't the toughest, although the Seattle game will probably be the toughest for them because they'll come back. They'll still have legs, I feel, in the game against Minnesota, but then the Seattle game is the second of a back-to-back. And if you're going to feel it, that's where you're going to feel it. So you might want to circle that Seattle game against Pittsburgh if you're looking at an advanced game that it probably will make my card, I think, Andrew, because I think I'll get the right price on it as well, too, on Pittsburgh. But other than that, some afternoon hockey. I can watch some soccer. I can watch some hockey. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of you, Carm. You're used to having afternoon action to watch with soccer, but this is new for me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Andrew, I think one team that's not looking forward to this road trip, I'm going to say, and I could be wrong with this, is Vancouver in this next game. Vancouver and Carolina. The Canucks in this one are a big underdog. Some of the sites, which it completely confuses me why some of the sites are still listing Thatcher Demko as a possible starter tonight. There is no way Thatcher Demko is starting tonight. He was pulled from his game. The reports are that he could miss between 2 and 3 weeks. He was reevaluated on Wednesday, evaluated on Thursday as well too, and it could very well be Lankinen in goal tonight for Vancouver. You look at it, Lankinen 3-5 in his 8 starts this season, 356 goals against average, 885 save percentage. Not the greatest, but this is the number that stands out, and what the play I like in this one is goals, because in his 8 starts, the over has gone 6-1-1. So there's only been one game in which it has stayed under the total with him in net. And other players that could be missing for Vancouver tonight, Quinn Hughes. He made the trip, did not practice on Thursday, was not on the ice. Drew O'Connor was given the day off from practice. It was a sick day for him, so he wasn't feeling well. If both of them play, they're not 100% tonight, Andrew. Even with those guys aren't if they aren't playing, if they're playing tonight, neither one's going to be 100%. This just seems like a spot for Carolina to score some goals. You could probably look at the team total. I'm not sure if you know what it is or not, but it's such a huge line, and rightfully so. It should be in the minus 250 range. Even the regulation is a little high on this one at minus 180 on this Carolina team. But I just don't see Carolina's coming off a home loss, and they've only lost 2 straight games or back-to-back games once this season. It's early on, but that shows you the consistency of this team. So over 6.5 for me. What are your thoughts?
Carm, the thing is here, like this Vancouver team is just struggling right now. They are just simply struggling. And when I saw the interview with Quinn Hughes, the guy looked almost like disinterested. Like he looked disinterested to the media. He just, I don't know. He didn't look like the same guy that we're used to seeing. And when I look at this Canucks team, whether it's been against good teams or bad teams, they've had trouble closing games out. Like they were competitive against the Avalanche. They were competitive against the Jets. And don't get me wrong, they've played some tough teams recently. Doesn't get much better against this Hurricanes team here, Carm. But I'm going to avoid me and you being head-to-head here totally, Carm, because I'm on the under 1.5 in the first period. I think that with Vancouver right now, it's clearly not working for them to win and have success in overs. So they're probably going to have defense on their mind. Defensive performance, good quality shutdown game in the middle of the ice, protect their own end a lot more. So I kind of like the under 1.5 here. Carolina's going to be as desperate as they can be. They're going to be motivated, I guess we should say. And you don't really want to go against a motivated Carolina team, especially at home. But this Canucks team, if you look at it, they've been going over the total a lot lately. 5-2 Wild, 5-4 win for them against the Preds, 5-2 win for the Blackhawks over them, 4-3 win. I mean, they've seen 6 straight games go over the total, and they only won 1 of them or 2 of them. So it's not being very successful for them. So I think something's got to change here. They might have to say, hey, guys, rolling the pucks out and saying first to 4 wins is evidently not working for us, is kind of my only issue here with this, Carm. So that's why I'm looking at the no goal first 10, and I'm looking at the under 1.5 in the first period. I think if we see anything in this game that revolves defense, it might be early. And I see your point here, Carm, that you made, talking about rolling 3 to 4 strong lines. I mean, that's the thing. They're just that much better, this Carolina team. But do you see my point kind of about Vancouver? And I'll tell you what, if I think maybe me and you can find some type of compromise, because when we look at this game here, the Vancouver team total under 2.5 could be the look, specifically looking at them and fading their team total. Because Carolina's team total over 3.5, you don't want to get in that ballpark. It's minus 350.
Yeah, it's a bad time for Demko's been good, Andrew. It's a bad time for Demko, obviously, to get injured. But this is like the fourth in the last 3 years, the fourth time he's gone on like an extended leave, if that's the case. And we'll obviously find out some news, but this is like a 3 games in 4 nights situation for Vancouver. This is the first of the thing. And, they left, you have to look at travel as well, too. They left Vancouver on Wednesday. That is a long flight as well, too. From Vancouver to Carolina is a very long flight. Do they have the legs? They had a practice day. A couple guys missed, you know what I mean? And I get it. Manny mentioned, Drew O'Connor's on the third line, but that's why I talk about the fact that Carolina rolls out those lines. You need like everybody in the lineup in order to beat this team, unless they take a night off. Carolina takes a night off. And that's the thing, is sometimes that secondary scoring comes from the third line. So the matchups, I think, are important with that said. So 3 days and 4 nights. We'll see what the goaltending situation is. You have to figure Lankinen is going to get two of the 3 games. Patera gets 1 of the 3 games, probably the first of the back-to-back. So likely Lankinen, Patera, Lankinen, as far as their 3 games go. But we'll see. Teams with a lot more injuries than the Vancouver Canucks have won games. So I'm not saying that it's Carolina or nothing here. That's why I'm looking at the over here. If Carolina has any fight, or Vancouver has any fight in them, they're going to need to score some goals or play like a completely defensive game. And maybe under Rick Tocchet, they could do that with Adam. It's Adam Foote, right? The coach there. With him, I'm not so sure.
And nobody's liking him. It's Adam Foote. Yeah, nobody's liking what he's bringing. But
I like him, man. I liked him when he was playing.
Yeah. Do you think it's a problem, though? I think this has been something that people have been discussing for a while, and maybe, we're biased being in Canada. We hear the Canadian media and stuff, but a lot of people say the Canadian teams are scared to rebuild. And look, I'm happy as a Canadians fan that they did a little mini 3 or 4 year build and it finally happened. But when you look at a team like the Vancouver Canucks and you look at a team like the Calgary Flames, they're stuck in no man's land. I love using that expression across multiple sports. They're in no man's land. They are not contenders. They are not bottom of the barrel. They are just somewhere in between right now. And it kind of makes it difficult to handicap. But the funny thing is that I've talked to fans. I was on a Canucks podcast the other day, and these are diehard guys, all buddies that are Canucks fans, and they are advocating, Carm, for a rebuild. Like, it's not often that the fan base itself is saying, hey, I want us to be really shitty for the next 3 years, and we can get some. Like, how awesome would it have been if they got Gavin McKenna, if the Canucks were able to get a younger superstar? I mean, people wonder why Canadian teams don't get the first overall pick very often, and it doesn't happen that much. It's because the teams won't tank. The Vancouver Canucks general manager, in my opinion, Carm, is making a horrible decision. I think it's worse than Calgary. And you know what? It starts with Quinn Hughes, because, I think that he almost acts like he doesn't even want to be there anymore. He's kind of fed up with the team. They already got rid of JT Miller. Once you get rid of Quinn Hughes or Elias Pettersson, what's left with this team anyway? You might as well rebuild.
Yeah. Not the greatest thing there. It's they've had some very good players, Andrew, over the years. The 2 brothers as well, too, that played in Vancouver. It's just they just can't. Since that Stanley Cup loss, what was it where they burned down Vancouver? Pretty much, I think they lost to the Rangers, and they burned down Vancouver with the riding. That's so un-Canadian. We're always so nice. That's so un-Canadian or whatever. But we'll see. The salary cap comes into, but salary cap's going up progressively over the next couple of years as well too. So there's more money available. I think the San Jose Sharks with was it Kevin Weeks? What was it that pretty much sold off everybody, moved them, swallowed up some of these teams' salary cap money in order to get some prospects. They're doing the right way. They're going to rebuild that team. Sometimes you have to do it. They were losing their fan base, so you had to do it. The last thing you want to do is lose a fan base. And then there's some teams who are just stuck in the mud. And I hate to make fun of them because, they are here, but Toronto Maple Leafs, they are just stuck in the mud. It is the same thing, guys, over and over and over again. Kind of like the sun coming up every morning. They don't want to rebuild here, but Toronto would be the perfect place, Andrew, for a franchise to rebuild, to blow it up and start anew. And I'll explain to you guys why. The wait list, they no longer take names in Toronto for the wait list. There are 50,000 plus people on a wait list trying to get season tickets. So the games are always sold out. It's corporate Canada, corporate Ontario, corporate Toronto that owns a majority of the tickets. And that's why you see seats empty, the good expensive ones. They don't have to worry about losing the fan base. They could blow up the franchise, absolutely blow up the franchise, start anew, get rid of these high paid guys, suck completely for 2-3 years, and start rebuilding your team through the draft, through prospects and what have you. But they won't do it because MLSE is all about profits, and I don't get it. The games are sold out. So what more profit do you need than a sold out arena each and every day?
Well, it's kind of like Boston. If you look at Boston, there was always a joke that they would win one round every year, Carm, one round. And then they would get bounced in the second round, and it wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close. So, Don Sweeney is his name. People used to say, Don, just because you know how much money those teams make from playoff games, right? They are expected to have 41 home games a year. But you give them a handful of extra games, that's pure profit. And keep in mind, the players get bonuses and stuff, but their salaries aren't actually accounting for the playoffs. So it's a lot more profit percentage for these owners going to the playoffs. So even look at the Hurricanes, for example. We just talked about them, Carm. They're cup favorites again this season. They're top 2 or 3, right? I mean, this is a year. We see it happen every year with them as well. They win the first round within their own division, and then when they play a team outside their division, they lose, like the Florida Panthers or whoever it might be. So going to be interesting to see what happens with a team like the Hurricanes because you don't want to be stuck in the middle. It's kind of a weird position to be in, right?
Yeah, no, and that's just it. You just become one of those franchises each and every year, and then you wonder 10 years later, wow, we haven't made the kind of like the Sabres. I'll poke fun at the team that I like to cheer for every once in a while. What, 13 straight years, 14 straight years, this team has missed the playoffs. They're stuck. Kevin Adams, they got to get rid of the guy because he's probably one of the worst GMs that I can see. I've heard the discussion of bringing in Brendan Shanahan, but he was the president in Toronto and they didn't do anything. So with that said, I'm not sure that's the right fit. Andrew, let's move on. Utah, the Mammoth against the New York Islanders. The Islanders rolled a 7 last night, baby, in OT and beat the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3. Rolled a 7, but second of a back-to-back. They're 2-0 in back-to-backs, Andrew, this year. Where are you going here? Because I'm going to steal your thunder if you don't do it.
I think you know where I'm probably going to go here. You know me, and we do shows together for years. You probably know where I'm going here. We'll see. But I got to ask, did you see how that game ended yesterday? It was a ridiculous ending. I was awake watching it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was 2-0 down for the Vegas Golden Knights. Islanders were up. Then all of a sudden it's 3-2. Then 3-3, we're off to overtime. And it was kind of unique because you never really see a player take a penalty in overtime. You saw a penalty take place in overtime. So there's the delayed penalty. So you've got all of a sudden a 4-on-3. Jack Eichel hops over the boards, and you've got a delayed penalty. They're skating around. Okay, it's all good. Goalie gets the puck. Everyone settled down. 4-3, power play in overtime. All of a sudden, the odds shifted to minus 230 live for the Vegas Golden Knights. Carm, what happens? About 10 seconds into the power play for the Vegas Golden Knights, JP Pajot goes ahead, or JG Pajot, I should say, goes on the breakaway, one-on-one, and who's the guy skating backwards playing defense? Mitch Marner. And what did the analysts always say? If you have a forward skating backwards and playing defense, it's not a recipe for success. And
no, it's not.
He didn't get in the way of the shot. He didn't help play defense. In fact, he screened his own goalie, and he screened Schmid, and it was top corner game winner. What a way for a game winner. You take a penalty, and all of a sudden you're ahead. But anyway, that was wild. But Chris Otto, he always talks about this second half of a back-to-back. You're more inclined to fade that team if they had won the first half of the back-to-back than if they had lost the first half of the back-to-back. And this is kind of the same scenario here. I mean, look, they were up 2-0, so maybe they deserve to win that game. And then they ended up coming back after being down 3-2, and they win in overtime here. Utah had that bad East Coast road trip, Carm. But guess what? They came back at home and won. But here's the deal here. In their last handful of games, I think it's like 4 or 5 games, maybe even 6 games. Do you know who the only team is that Utah has won against? The Buffalo Sabres. You got to win more games than against one team, the Buffalo Sabres. You can't just win against one team. And so this is still going to be a dialed-in Utah team, a focused Utah team. And for whatever reason, I got to give credit to them at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, because this Utah team plays well in the first period. First period, minus a half goal, plus 120. Give me the play here, the Don Buster special. This is what I like. You can look at the first period over, but it's minus 140. Forget about that. Let's look for a good start at home. And it makes it that much better for me, the fact that you have the Islanders coming off a win, not coming off a loss and motivated and feeling pissed off. They're coming off a win, feeling good about themselves. And I'll end with this, Carm. What would you rather if you had a back-to-back setup? Play Utah and then the second game play Vegas, or play Vegas and then the second game play Utah? Because I know if I was a coach, I'd rather my team play Vegas the first half of the back-to-back. That's what happened. They got the win. Now I hope they take this Utah team lightly.
Yeah, I don't want to take a side in this game, but I think by giving you the play that I like, I'm pretty much taking a side in this one. The Islanders are streaky, if nothing else. You look at the Islanders season as a whole right now. They lose their first 3, they win their next 4. They lose their next 3, they win their next 2. They lose 2, and now they've won straight. This is a team that is small little streaks, but they've won 3 in a row. The problem is that with every Islanders road loss this season, they've allowed 4 or more goals. Utah's 5-1 at home. Haven't played a lot of games. It's been a road heavy schedule for them. If you like Utah, you have to take the team total. I think that's the right play here against the Islanders. It's the team total's 3.5 minus 130. So lower VIG. I know you normally like, Andrew, and I know you like the plus money VIG on those ones, but you can't take over 2.5 because it's just insane price. And 4.5, I think there's absolutely no value in taking 4.5, no matter what plus price they give you. I can see Utah getting there with the team total, scoring 4 goals tonight against an Islanders team that's on the second of a back-to-back. Obviously, Sorokin started yesterday, so it's a big save. Dave in goal tonight against Utah, and they're playing well at home. As I mentioned, 5-1 on home ice. So I'm going to go with the Utah Mammoth over 3.5 goals, minus 130 is the team total.
I like it, Carm. I do like it. And I'll tell you, like, sometimes there's certain people and certain handicappers that care about goaltending matchups, and sometimes you just don't look at it and it doesn't matter to you as much. I think there's certain situations where you look at the goaltending matchups, and yesterday was an example, I would say, with the Anaheim Ducks. Like right now, I don't want to go against the Anaheim Ducks with Lucas Dostel in net. He's looking very good. And with this Islanders team, Carm, I don't really want to go against them if Ilya Sorokin is in net. Even though he's been a little bit better a little bit shakier this year, it is kind of interesting to have the second half of back-to-back situation, and you have to have a different type of goalie to work with here. So Big Save Dave, 884 save percentage, 341 GAA. And you got to think that Utah is sitting here. They're fresh. They're ready to go. They're locked in. And meanwhile, you have a Islanders team fresh off a very exciting and underdog ticket cashed. I feel like this is a really good spot for them. So, Carm, I think that if anybody likes that over in this game, you just look towards this one team, because I think we're going to see a flat spot out of the New York Islanders. One thing I got to give them credit for, man, they do look a lot deeper this year. They do look a lot deeper, but how many teams, I guess, Carm, is what I'm trying to say, would you say that you really, really care about starter to backup? Like, obviously, you think about Winnipeg, like, if Hellebuck's not in the net, like, there's a...
Yeah, you don't have the same conference in Comrie. Yeah, I get it. There's very few goaltending duels, I think, where I look at it, I'm like, okay, I'm perfectly happy with either goalie being in net. Maybe Colorado, because that they can still get you goals. Obviously, Mackenzie Blackwood's back. They just re-signed Wedgwood to a contract, or extended him as well too. So they got to be happy with him and how he picked up the slack, because they had a very good start to the season with Mackenzie Blackwood injured. So I think it's the one time over the last few years where you can sort of look at Colorado and not be too worried about their goaltending issues. Conversely, Andrew, the Edmonton Oilers, sometimes it's like, I don't care who's in net. I don't have confidence in either goalie, whether it's Picard or Skinner. Any other goaltending duel for you, Andrew, in the NHL? I thought the Leafs last year with Stolarz and Joseph Wall was pretty good. Stolarz is he's just not playing well right now.
Well, Colorado right now with Wedgwood and Blackwood, those are really good, and you've got obviously a good team over there. And I will say, as funny as this sounds, because my Montreal Canadiens just got smacked back-to-back games, and I mean they got smacked last night, bad. But at this point right now, there's really not much of a difference in both. But a lot of fans prefer the backup goalie. So there's not really a huge favorable opinion on one guy over the other. And if there is, there's more so a favor in the backup. Buffalo Sabres, Carm, how about them? They're carrying 3 goalies. Who would have thought that would have been the answer for the Buffalo Sabres to carry 3 goalies right now?
Can you start all 3 at the same time? Because that's the only way they could cover the nets, is start all 3 at the same time.
They actually have 3 good goalies. It's just right now the team is, got to play well in front of them. But I think it's a good idea, because if you release one guy, they're going to get put on waivers and stuff like that. So, all right, Carm, we've got 3 different segments. We'll be quick with these, but we have the pod, we have 6 and 60, and we have my same game parlay. If you want to do your pod, then I can do my same game parlay, give you a break, and then we can do the 6 and 60 to close it out.
That sounds like an excellent idea, because you guys are going to be hearing a screeching bird in the next little while. My wife just had to leave for an appointment, and that thing is already that little creature is already starting to make noise. So with that said, I will start with the pod. Congratulations if you followed yesterday. The pod gets there. This one's another plus money game, and it's the game that we did not cover today, which is the St. Louis Blues and Philadelphia Flyers. And I'm going to take the Flyers here, plus 120. And I'll explain why. This is a team that with their new coach, obviously Rick Tocchet, he has them playing almost similar to what he was doing in Vancouver when they were successful, at least during the regular season, which is playing defense. They don't score a lot of goals. They've only scored 44 goals thus far this season, but they've only allowed 41. That is the lowest amount of goals scored across all of the NHL, and there's some very good defensive teams. They've only allowed 41 goals thus far this season. And on the season, there's only been 2 games in which they've lost, where they've lost by more than 2 goals. This is a team that competes each and every night. They don't do it pretty a lot of the times. This is the first of a back-to-back for them, so I think we're going to see Vidar in goal tonight for them. And the Blues are just too inconsistent for me at the moment. I'm going to take the plus 120 with the Philadelphia Flyers tonight, and let's see if we can increase that bankroll by another $240.
Carm, I like it, man. It's Freaky Friday. Some dogs have to bark on Freaky Friday, and that's one that I like as well. This Flyers team, they're a bit boring to watch, I got to say. They're not the most exciting team to watch by any means, but they suffocate teams. That's what somebody said during my live show last night. They suffocate teams. They make games boring, but that's the Rick Tocchet way of playing hockey and the way of coaching. Make things boring, play well defensively, and you're getting a pretty good plus money price on that one. So, and with those two teams, Carm, would you really want to lay juice with any of them? I think either way, you take the dog in that matchup, right?
No, I think if you're one of the biggest mistakes you can make is, I think in sports betting is it's not about laying vig, but it's laying vig with bad teams. Even if they're playing another bad team, it's just you can't do it. If it's a team that's underperforming, but you see some improvement in their play, kind of like the reason why I liked Calgary on the puck line yesterday, as opposed to just the money line, is I watched that game against St. Louis. That was 3-2 at the end of the second period and finished 3-2. And I thought the Flames player are playing extremely well. They're generating chances. They're just not scoring, but they're playing some good D as well too. If they can continue that when they get home, it was a good spot to take them to win, and they did. So I'll let you do your pod while I go and feed some crackers to this little parrot.
Carm, and I feel like it's just a Friday. It has to be a Friday if we're hearing those noises in the background. It's like everybody's in that Friday mood, and you got to get some seeds or some crackers or whatever it is going back there because something's going on in the background there. Or maybe you're just getting some celebrations for how successful your picks have been lately. Shout out to BB says, do you guys read the chat? Of course we read the chat. Ice X talking about Dan Vladar. Gotta love Robert here saying going to a paint drying race is more exciting than the Flyers offense. Timothy's a Flyers fan, so of course he says, yeah, they smother teams. It was Timothy last night watching my live show, which I always do appreciate you guys to tune into that. All right, guys, let's get to the same game parlay. This is not a prop parlay by any means. This is a same game parlay. And yes, it's a same game parlay, but this is actually just one game. All right, we're focusing in on the NHL Global Series game, Pittsburgh versus Nashville in Sweden. And we got a handful of picks here. I love these plays. This is backed by head-to-head matchup. This is backed by exposing teams' weaknesses. Let's cash this ticket here, guys, in the afternoon and start this season off on a great note, or this weekend off on a great note, I should say. All right, let's pull it up here. If we have it, Dan, there we go. My bad. I didn't know you were there, Dan. All right. Crosby, 3+ shots on goal. Dan, that's completely my fault that I messed that up. Crosby, 3+ shots on goal. Shea, 2+ shots on goal. O'Reilly, at least 1 point. And Yusei Saros, over 23.5 saves. Sidney Crosby has a great head-to-head track record against this Nashville Predators team. Brady Shea, from the point, has been doing fantastic. 2+ shots on goal. O'Reilly and Saros, over 23.5 saves there. And tough spot there for O'Reilly because he is in a little bit of a funk, but I still think it's a really good spot for him to get the job done. So this is plus 850, guys. Plus 850 in one game, 2 p.m. Eastern start. Let's cash this ticket. Let's start the weekend off on a really good note. So, and I'll tell you what, Carm, you don't really get plus 23.5 for save props very often. And obviously we have to rely on Pittsburgh getting a lot of shots off on Saros. But I think in Europe, a goalie like that, he's not Swedish, he's Finnish, but I think he's going to show up quite a bit. So over 23.5 saves. And I would recommend people single bet that one. That is a bet that I do think people could single bet.
Yeah, I don't think Saros is finished by any means. He's a good goalie, Andrew. So
He's all right.
He's he's all right. I like the guy from Latvia. I think he bounces back. Let's go, Shilovs. Man, can't they just name these goalies, something that is easier for this old guy to pronounce better? Andrew, there's been some weird names for goalies in the NHL. Like, it's before your time, but there used to be a goalie called Pete Peters, Andrew. Like, who names their kid Peter when your last name is Peters? Like Peter Peters. Like, it's got to be the laziest name thing that you could come up with. But Pete Peters, yes, Andrew, look it up. I believe he played for the Washington Capitals. Maybe someone in the chat will remember that. Anyways, Abs Relic, who won the soccer game last night? I told you guys at the end of yesterday's show, wouldn't surprise me if the game finished 0-0. Bet the draw finished 0-0. Plus 500 if you cash that ticket. Okay, with that said, Dan Alexander, you have the stopwatch ready. I'm waiting for Dan to see.
Yes, I have the stopwatch ready, Carm. Do your segment.
All right. Shut up, Dan. If only you guys could hear what Dan was saying in my ear. It's just, he's an Eagles fan and he chose violence this morning. So with that said.
In your ear, Carm. I think it's in all of our ears.
Is it? Oh, okay.
It's in all of our ears.
All right. With that said, we are ready. This is the 6 and 60 segment brought to you by, I'm going to try and get them as a sponsor, Blue Chew. But anyways, the 6 and 60 segment. Here we go, guys. Minnesota and Anaheim. I'm going to take the Minnesota Wild money line. Ducks showing a little bit of regression, and the Wild have won 18 of the last 19 meetings between these two teams. Give me the Wild money line. Chicago and Toronto. I'm going to take the Leafs money line in this. We're going to get a good price on them, given the fact that they're not playing the greatest hockey right now. 2-0 versus the Hawks last year. And Berube called out the team yesterday in a presser, so we'll see if they bounce back here. Columbus and the Rangers. I'm taking the over here. Rangers have found their scoring, as I said they would. 4-1 to the over. Last 5 over their last 3 games. Montreal and Boston. I'm taking the over here. Habs embarrassed 7-0 against the Dallas Stars. Are now 8-1. Montreal to the over at home. Dallas and Philly. Dallas money line. Stars off a big win. 4-1 their last 5 at home. Flyers on the second of a back-to-back. And finally, Calgary and Winnipeg. Jets puck line. Let's get some plus money there. Jets are generating some chances and some scoring now that Perfetti's back in the lineup. I don't see the Flames scoring many goals in this one, so I'm taking Winnipeg Jets to end a road trip with a puck line victory. That is your 6 and 60.
Love it, Carm. Love it. Love some of those looks. And
105. Just over. Ooh. 105.
105.
105.
Wait, you want the stopwatch, Carm? You got the stopwatch. There it is, right there.
Yeah, but does that 105 include the original brought to you by Blue Chew, or the second one
it's
where it's
the
just
second that you say, "Here we go"? Your first breakdown, the timer starts. So just cash the over, and it's the second your breakdown starts.
No appeals, Carm. No appeals. You have all season.
There also is the time difference between Canada and
there's the 5-second time difference.
The stopwatch
and
time
there's
difference.
and there's a leg. There's a bit of a leg happening. But whatever, Andrew. That's the 6 and 60. 4-2.
Disagreeing.
The bird is he disagrees with me a lot. I have band-aids on my fingers to show for it. This thing. People are going to think I'm a crack addict because I got all these puncture points on my fingers, but they're from the bird. I'm going to get his wings clipped next week because he's starting to fly. No, you have to.
A crow.
Yes, I got a crow, man. I am. Who's the guy from The Crow? Who's that actor? Was very good. But anyways, yes.
Look at this comment here, Carm. Ethan says, I had a professor named Edward Edwardson.
I don't get it.
Is that real, Ethan? Are you messing with us?
Brandon Lee. There you go. Brandon Lee is the answer. Yes. Rest in peace. Andrew, let us know what you have up at WagerTalk while I shut this little guy down.
Look, 3 straight winners for me in the NHL, 3 straight team total winners. The team totals are starting to come around for us a bit here, guys. We're trusting the process with them. Cashed a one last night with the Red Wings, cashed with the Ottawa Senators tonight. We got some plays we like here tonight, so don't miss my best bet in the NHL tonight. We've got a CFL Grey Cup best bet available Sunday night. You guys can get that. I understand college football, NFL, center of attention, of course, but this is the best game of the year, the biggest game of the year in the CFL, the Grey Cup, and I have a best bet opinion on it. And of course, don't miss the Saturday busy slate. I mean, you got games starting tomorrow afternoon, going into the late hours of 11 p.m. So looking forward to a great, great weekend. And that great special, guys, right now, 10 days of plays for less than $10 a day is really, really good. And the NFL props are going very well for me. 21-8 run in the NFL props. We'll try and keep things going with that. So let's cash some tickets, guys. Let's have a great weekend. Let's keep things going. And that will do it for me here. Carm, I know you got an issue you're dealing with behind you. I know how it can be with the distractions, but you're doing well across multiple sports, man. What do you have going?
Yeah, my wife's usually here, so little Sonny would be in another room and not chirping up a storm. I tried to bribe him with some sunflower seeds, but he just ate all of those, and that's it. He's disagreeing. Anyways, soccer, a couple plays today in World Cup qualifying. You can get them over on my page. Oh my God. Sorry, guys, a little annoying. Over on my page, one play up a best bet in the NHL. Last night's best bet cashes with the Toronto Maple Leafs, LA Kings over. A profitable day in the NHL as well too. And a big weekend, college football and NFL 5% play, and 3 other 4% plays loaded in the NFL. So grab that 99-day, 10-day package, and you'll get all of the stuff up. With that said, for myself, Andrew McInnis, and the guests this week, and of course our producer Dan Alexander, have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you on Monday.